Good morning, everyone. I'm Kenzie. I'm a trainer here at West Coast Fitness, and we're going to do some mobility this morning. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better today. Let us know if you can't hear us well. Okay, we're going to start with the neck. Again, we're going to do some articular rotations. So I want you to bring your chin down to your chest. Draw a circle around to your shoulder. Back to the back. Get that front stretch. Down the other side. Remember, the whole time we're doing this, we have tension through our body. You're not letting your ribs flare when your neck goes back. A couple more circles. And let's go the other way. Chin down to your chest. Draw a circle around to your shoulder. And make that circle with your head. Again, pay attention to if you feel areas that are sticky or stiff, or if you have any pain doing these. Really try to push to your end range of motion. So as you're going, think of making your circle bigger. Push a little farther. We're going to do some shoulders. So you're going to start with your right arm. Bring it all the way up till you feel a block. And we're going to rotate, palm away from you. Bring it around in that circle. These should be fairly uncomfortable. If you're really pushing to your end range, we don't just want to move around in a circle. You want to really be pushing as far as you can. A couple more times. Palm away from you. Bring that joint through its full range of motion. Again, if you hear popping or clicking, that's okay. Do the other arm, start forward as far as you can until you feel that block. You're going to rotate your palm away from you. Continue rotating down to your side. Go to extension as far as you can. Rotate around. Again, really push to your end range of motion. These should be fairly uncomfortable. This isn't a movement we're used to doing. Remember, only your arm is moving in these, no chest movement. We're just moving one joint at a time. Nice and slow and controlled. All right, we're going to do some scapula. So those are the two big flat bones on the back that run along your rib cage. So first thing you're going to do is tuck your shoulders up to your ears, squeeze in the back, rotate down, and protract your shoulders forward. Up to your ears, squeeze in the back, down, rotate forward. Up, back. Forward, okay, switching to the other direction, so you're going to go back and then up, down, back. Again, really push to your end range of motion. These should be a little bit uncomfortable, getting your body into the areas that it doesn't usually use. All right, we're going to do some back. So if this is uncomfortable for you, you can grab a block or a pillow or something and sit like this on it. Just take some of that stress off of your thighs and your knees from bending back. Cross your arms in front, relax your shoulders. And we're moving only from the spine in this, so no hip rotation. You go all the way to the side. Bring it forward, get that good stretch. Around to the other side. Feel your vertebrae move individually, independently of one another. The other direction, bring it forward, around to the back. If these feel easy for you, pushing to your end range motion, you can hold a medicine ball or a weight in front of you while you do these, just to give a little bit of resistance. Time. Alright, moving on to the hips. We did these standing yesterday, if you tuned in, but today we're going to do them on our knees. So we're going to be on all fours, hands right under your shoulders, knees right under your hips. And we're going to start with our left leg, so we're going to bring it forward as far as we can, out to the side, tip your heel down up to the ceiling. And bring it around this way, back into extension, tip your heel down to the floor, bring it around. So this is the exact same motion that we did yesterday, standing up. So I'll show you standing up. This is the motion you're going for. Up, out, and around, and then back. So, again on the left leg, bring it forward as far as you can. Feel that block as you get to your max flexion. Bring it out to the side. Internally rotate and come around. As you extend, externally rotate and go back. One more time on that leg. If you feel pinching in the joint, that's okay. Just means there's some tight areas that need to be worked out. All right, let's do the other hip. Starting with your hands under your shoulders, get yourself set, keep that tension through your core. You're gonna come forward as far as you can, out to the side, rotate around, and down. Extend as far as you can. Bring your heel to the floor and come around. So a good way to think of doing these is as if you're going over something. So if this block is here, I want to bring my knee forward, out over it, and around. I want to come back, out over it, and around. If you're fairly new to mobility, put something on your back. I'm using yoga blocks. You can use a book, a plate, just to make sure your hip joint is the only one moving. We don't want any tipping of the hips. See how the block stays perfectly straight. Let's go back to the other side. Forward as far as you can. Out like you're doing a fire hydrant. And around. Extend as far as you can. Bring it out. Keep that block on your back so you know if your hips are tilting. That is your body compensating for areas of your range of motion that you haven't quite gotten into yet. If you have tight hips, low back pain, foot pain, in general, you should do these every day. As we move through these, kind of figure out which areas need a little extra love and incorporate them into your practice every day. So these articular rotations can be done once or twice a day when you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed, if you're quarantined watching Netflix. Okay, moving on to the knees. These are new, we didn't do these yesterday, but what I'm gonna have you do is sit straight up, keep your back straight and your chest high. You're going to put one knee in a headlock. So one arm goes underneath, one arm goes behind, and you're gonna grab the opposite arms. So this is just inhibiting your hip joint from being able to turn. So what we're looking for is a rotation from this joint. You want to watch this tibial tuberosity, which is the very front part of your knee, and that's going to be what's rotating. So you should watch it go in and out in a circle. First motion we're going to do is just rotate that knee joint all the way to the inside. So you're not just rotating your ankle, you're rotating this whole bone, and all the way to the other side. Back and the other side. All right, now we're going to make a circle. So you're going to go in with it, extend all the way to your outer range of motion, and down. So these should be really hard. You're pushing to your end range of motion. You can see I'm shaking doing it. You want to really push yourself on these. If you stay in the range of motion that you're comfortable, you'll never get better. So keep making that circle. Rotate in, not just from the ankle joint, but from that whole knee joint. Extend to the outside and down. Okay, the other side. Again, one arm goes under, one arm locks behind your knee. You're gonna grab your opposite arm. So first things we're gonna do is rotate all the way to the inside, all the way to the outside, inside, and the outside. Now we're going to make that circle. So you're going to go all the way out, extend up, rotate in, and come down. These should be very hard to control. A lot of people aren't used to this motion, but if you're a runner, you have sore knees a lot, maybe get into some knee mobility, see how it changes your life. Continue with that circle around. Again, not rounding out your back, you're still sitting up tall, chest high. Back to the other leg. You're going to go in, rotate all the way to that internal rotation, extend up, go to your external rotation, and pull down. You'll notice on the way down in the eccentric movement, it's a little choppier. Your nervous system is a little less used to controlling that motion. So the more you do this, the smoother they'll get as your body remembers how to control those muscles. Down. Other side. All the way to the inside. Push up. So it looks like my foot is just turning, but the motion is coming all from this knee joint, rotating that tibia inward. And down. Notice the first couple of these are fairly easy. And as you get going, get a little bit of stiffness. All right. One last one we're going to do is some hip mobility, or wrist mobility. I know my joints, I swear. If you have trouble doing planks or push-ups, this is a good way to bulletproof your wrists, get that wrist mobility. So you're going to grab your forearm and you're going to make a circle. I want your hand to stay splayed and stiff the whole time, so my fingers are all spread out. My fingers don't curl in, and my wrist is the only thing moving. So we're going to go down, rotate to the inside, up, and out. Fingers stay splayed, wrist is the only thing moving, your hand is stiff. You can also do these with a fist. Changes the feeling a little bit, but you're getting the same movement. Continue with that circle, After about 3 or 4 of these, you should feel that deep burn in your wrist flexors. Going around the other way. Nice and slow. All of these joint moves should be done like you're moving through a thick gel. So you have tension through your hand, like you're pushing against something the entire way, really reaching for your end range motion. These should be hard. Into the top, out to the bottom. Really push your wrist to its limit. Burn in the back. Okay, what's the question?
Alex is asking if this will help with planks, or if her wrists hurting during planks.
Yes, okay. So if you're having problems with your wrist hurting during planks, a lot of times your wrists are not used to being in this bent back position. So doing this is going to strengthen all these muscles on the back and the front, which is going to give you a lot more stability in the long run, but they have to be done a lot. So it's just like strength training. If you only do bicep curls once a week, your biceps aren't going to change. So every day. Good. And back. Wrist should be burning a little bit on the backs and on the front. Just head and stretch them out. All right. We're going to do a little bit more hip stuff today, and then we're going to go into some shoulder mobility. So the first thing I want you to do with your hips is to get back into your 90-90 position. So this is one leg internally rotated to 90-90, one leg externally rotated to 90 degrees. What we're going to do, if you need to regress this, you can take 2 yoga blocks and use them to hold yourself up this way. You can take 2 books if you're at home, or stand still. Okay, so first thing we're going to do with this front hip is we're going to lift both the knee and the ankle off at the same time. You're going to fully extend, axial rotation at the end. So when I say axial rotation, that's the joint in the socket going this way in a circle. So as you can see, when my foot comes out, it's facing sideways. Rotate it so it's facing up to the ceiling and set it down. These should be very hard. You're going to be shaky. I'm going to be shaky. It's okay, we're doing it together. Okay, from here, you're gonna lift straight up off the ground. Axial rotation to turn my foot back towards the camera, and then you're gonna pull it back in and set down. So again, lift both the knee and ankle off, extend, my foot turns to face the ceiling, lift off, turns to face the camera, and set down. If you're a little bit more advanced and you don't need these blocks, go ahead and move them out and you can be up like this. Eventually we want to progress to not using the blocks at all, but until you learn to control those movements, it's a good way to take some of the need of your core control off, to just focus on this movement. One more time. Out. Axial rotation. Lay it down. Lift it up. Rotate. Bring it in. So your foot hovers off the ground the entire time. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with our back leg. So you're going to lift both off at the same time. Bring yourself a little bit more forward is going to help with this. Lift both off, extend, axial rotation, and set it down. Lift off, foot turns to face the back wall. Bring it in and set it down. Your upper body should remain as still as possible. So once you're in a leaned position, I don't want you to re-lean. Get into your position you know you can handle, and then stay there the whole time. Lift up, point the toe, rotate your hip, bring it back in and down. One more time. When you're setting your leg down, always gently place it on the ground. Never drop it, because we are working on control the whole way. Switch to the other side. All right, starting with the front leg, we're going to do the same thing. Lift both the heel and the knee off at the same time. Extend it out. Axial rotation to put your foot facing up. Lift, rotate the foot, bring it in. I have hair dye on the bottom of my foot, so let's just ignore that. Lift, rotate, and bring it in. Both up at the same time. Extend. By now you should be feeling a nice cramp on this side and this side of your hip. So push through it, or if you need to, get out of this position, come right back into it. Okay, on back side, doing the same thing. Lifting the leg, extending, rotate, and down. Lift, rotate, flex, and down. One more time. And down. All right, next what we're gonna do is a somewhat butterfly. So I want you to have the bottoms of your feet pressed together. We're gonna do an isometric contraction. So that means you are pushing full force, but we're not actually moving. So all your muscles are gonna contract, but your legs are gonna stay in this position. So brace your elbows on the inside of your knees, bottoms of your feet together. And you're gonna start at 10%, squeezing your knees together. So I'm doing this motion against my elbows, but they're not gonna move. So start pressing in, 10%, squeeze the inside of your legs up to 20, 30%, 40%. As you can see, I'm starting to shake. So at your 100%, you should be pressing in with full force. Your arms are resisting this motion. Up to 70%. 80, you're pushing really hard, all the way in, everything's shaking, 100%, and hold for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, push your legs down to the floor, push as hard as you can, no hands, drive towards the floor, really open those hips up, keep pushing, all the way down, pressing 100%, squeezing as hard as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, go back into the internal rotation. We are going to brace your elbows against your knees, start squeezing in, 10%, 20%, 30%, squeeze those hip flexors, squeeze those quads, 50%, 70%, 100%. Press as hard as you can in. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press down to the floor away. Squeeze your glutes. Squeeze as hard as you can. Really get those, drive your knees towards the floor. Up to 100% and squeeze for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. All right, stretch out those hip flexors, give them a break. We're gonna go into some shoulders. So this first one, we're gonna do, I'll go this way. Okay, if you have tennis balls at home, you can use those. If you have balled up socks, those are also a great option. Your dog's toys, anything that you can squeeze and put some tension into. So we're gonna start with our hands as high as you can get them on your low back. I don't want to be leaning forward at all, so I'm going to put my hands as high as I can without having to hunch forward. So this is where mine rest. From there, squeeze the tennis balls to put some tension through your body. You're going to lift off your back, so I'm lifting off this way, away from my back. From there, you're going to extend your arms, keep pushing back like something's resisting you. When you get to the end, axial rotation of the arms. So rotate that shoulder joint. Keep pushing back as far as you can, squeezing those scapulas together. When you get all the way rotated, you're gonna flex your arms, bring them behind your head. From your head, you're going to do the same thing. Lift off backwards, extend your arms fully, rotate those joints down, and flex them back to your back. So these are meant to be uncomfortable, they're meant to be hard. This is how we reteach our joints to go through their full range of motion. So again, lift off the back, extend your arms fully, pulling back like you're grabbing a giant beach ball. Rotate at the end range of your motion. Flex them in and place them behind your head. The entire time you're squeezing the crap out of these tennis balls to keep that tension through your body. Lift away from your head. Extend. Axial rotation at the end. Flex them down to your back. On your third or fourth rep, you should be able to get your hands higher than where they started. Again, one more time. Lift off the back. Extend out. Rotate at the end. These should be hard. You should be straining, sweating slightly. Flex them in onto your head. Lift off your head. Extend out. Axial rotation. Flex those elbows. Place them back onto the back. So shake them out. Those are hard. Okay, next one we're going to do, keep your tennis balls handy, and you're going to trap them in your elbows, like so. Okay, for this one, we're working on shoulder horizontal, abduction and adduction, which is when your joint moves away from your body this way. So, show you from the back. You're going to squeeze these tennis balls between your bicep and your forearm. Raise them all the way up, like you want to touch your elbows together. Keep your fists tight. When you get to your full range of motion at the top, bring them back down. Squeeze those shoulder blades. Squeeze to your bottom range of motion. Hold at the bottom. And back up. Rotate those scapulas. Keep tension all the way through your shoulder joints. Up to the top and hold. And back down. At the bottom, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Hold. Back up to the top. Squeeze at the top. If you're getting some numbness into your hands from these tennis balls, just know that it takes about 10 minutes for all the blood to drain from a limb, so you have about 8 more minutes before you have to start. Up, squeeze at the top, and down, squeeze at the bottom. All right, shake them out, get that blood flow going again. That wraps up our mobility for the day. This Saturday, 10:45 a.m., come do some mobility with me. If it's nice out, we'll be outside. All of our classes have been moved outside, so check that out. Our classes are live streaming. Check everyone else out. I have an awesome team here, so support us all. Have a good rest of your day.